Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from State House Girls High School. High school, it is the make or break season for every teenager, from balancing classes, pressure from friends, expectations from teachers and parents to excel. It's not an easy time for an adolescent trying to figure out who they are. So we're having a conversation on surviving high school right here from State House Girls to get their insights on what's going on, what are they thinking, feeling, what are their expectations from their teachers and their parents as well. Let's meet the panel now and get the conversation started. Jane Muthoni Oko is a governance and education rights advocacy specialist. She heads the Elimu Yetu Coalition, which represents the national civil society education movement in Kenya. Julie Githiri Goko is a qualified psychodynamic psychotherapist with over 15 years of experience as a psychiatric nurse and as a specialist community practitioner specializing in sexual health. Dr. Eda Tatu is a medical doctor specializing in ophthalmology, a counselor, and a certified recovery coach, and has a special place in her heart for the youth. Joanne Muoti is the principal of State House Girls High School and is passionate about seeing each girl who comes through the school excel in her future endeavors. Mercy Mueni is a counseling psychologist and trainer, as well as the director of Blissful Mind Counselors. She has over 5 years' experience in counseling, training, and life coaching. Remember, hashtag Victoria's Lounge is how you can chime into the conversation on social media. We're here at State House Girls High School. I'm so excited. I can feel the energy from all the students here. But let's begin this discussion from where this journey starts, which is Form 1. You're in high school, you've come from home, you've been pampered, you've had your your shirts ironed rather, and then now you're having to do all these things for yourself. Independence has to kick in now. I want to hear from the students first. In terms of your experience transitioning from Standard 8 now to Form 1, and we'll begin with Wendy. What was your experience like coming from Standard 8, home, sheltered, to boarding school?
Compared to day school, I was in day school before and I came to boarding school. It's actually very different because I was used to the comfort of a house whereby I will talk to my mother when things are hard. But when it comes to boarding school, you have no one to talk to, you have no sibling, and it all seems very hard for a person who has come from a point where you have people around you. And at the same time, you've come with new school uniform and it's all gone. People steal and you're there stranded. It's very traumatizing.
My goodness, it sounds so traumatic. People stealing uniforms. This is the first time you're coming into school. Let's hear from Natalie. What was your experience like?
I think when I was in class 8, I used to think high school is this place, you come, you get straight A's and everything, and you're coming and you're thinking, I can do this, everything. So I get here and there are so many books, and as in the topics are so much wider than they were in primary. And at home, it's easier because, you have your parents, your siblings around, friends. In school, there's a routine. You have to follow a specific routine. There are rules you still don't know about. I remember when I was getting in, I kind of got lost getting from class to the hostels and back, so I just follow the crowd there and come back. Yeah.
So trying to find your space, trying to find your way around. Thanks for sharing. And let me bring in Principal Joanne here. How does the school help with that transitioning into high school?
When they arrive as Form 1s, we have an induction and we have girls to receive them. We put on the full cabinet members, the girls in green, to receive them and to guide them through the process of being admitted, and finally with their parents to the hostel, where they are assisted to do the bed. After that, there is a program where every department meets them to tell them the norms, the rules, the expectations. So we set them in that way, and we advise the older students to take care of them Since they are newcomers, they are our visitors. In fact, we call them our visitors. So after that program, it's lesson go, and it starts from one lesson to the other. And we believe with the new program, Sunday comes, they have worship. They know if I'm a Muslim, where I should go on Friday. If I'm an SDA, if I'm a Protestant, if I'm a Catholic, we introduce them to all that kind of program. So we expect them to quickly fit in. The little things about missing mom and the siblings, we expect that with the new family that they have joined into, they will adjust. We encourage the older girls to be friendly, to be supportive. Of course, the issue of loneliness comes in. That one, after sometimes, they manage. I hope they manage. A few fail to manage, and they will cry about mom, and I want home, and I want this. But we're trying to make them strong.
Yeah.
We can call the parent back to come and assist, talk to them, and help them settle. As we move to second term, third term, one or two drop, they can't manage boarding, we allow that. So that's our program.
And I'd like to ask the next student, Stephanie from Form 4, to come up to ask, to make a comment rather, on what she's learned so far in her high school career. But I'd like to still engage you, Principal Joanne, because apart from what we heard from Wendy and Natalie, in terms of the challenges that they went through, what are more challenges that you've noticed as an administration from the students coming in?
One challenge is about the course, the work, doing the work. You know, we allocate them duties. You clean a bathroom, you clean a toilet, or you're cleaning your cube, or you're cleaning a corridor, or you're cleaning a class with a group of you. So there is that problem of doing it. It's like majority of them come from home having not been exposed to doing. They have to wash their clothes. Some will find that they tuck them in a bag and they don't wash it. They pick a clean one on the line, or they wear this one for some days until you are noticing this blouse is not clean. So there is need to, as we bring them to boarding schools, the parents should start from home, from class 5, those things. If you know you're preparing your child to the boarding school, let her start doing the things.
Right. And Julie, let me bring you in here, because what is happening in the adolescent mind, the brain at this time of transition, and why is that so important to kind of get them ready for this point of their lives?
It's a process which involves the whole family. When someone's moving to boarding school, let it be something that they are involved in. So they're not seeing it as a punishment that now they've reached this point and they're no longer included within the family. But in fact, the family is helping them transition to another stage of their life where they're going to meet others and grow. So it's something that you want them to be part of the process. Help pick a school, be involved with the application, be involved with the interview process so that they feel included. So when they do arrive on the first day with their books and clothes in hand, they aren't surprised, they're not scared.
You know, and Stephanie, I want to get your take on this, because you've been through the 4 years of high school. What were your expectations first, before you came into high school? Were they met? Were you disappointed? Were they exceeded? And what have you learned in the 4 years so far?
My experience has been really complicated because I did not start Form 1 at State House Girls, but before I joined Form 1, I was expecting high school to be a really fun place. Out of all the experiences I've been hearing people talking about how Form 1s are bullied and all that stuff. But when I joined Form 1, yes, I went through bullying, but it was not in this school. And when I came to this school, I found it different. I found that everyone was accepted for who they are, and we learned to grow in friendship, in education, in class. And we also loved our teachers because they were always supportive, whether we were homesick or whether anything was different according to our own view.
So creating that support helped you get through high school. At least you knew you could rely on your fellow students if something was going wrong, if you're feeling lonely, you needed someone to talk to. Did you get that support from your fellow students, your colleagues?
Yes, because I was very shy in Form 1. When I joined, I was very timid and small, but with my friends and also the support from some particular teachers, it made me grow, and I became who I am today. I can speak, I can participate in different activities, unlike how I joined in Form 1.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. I'd like to bring a parent in on this. Any of the parents who are willing to share from their experience in terms of how they prepare their children.
I think the best way to prepare them is to teach them responsibility, and that's personal responsibility, because from what I see is that's what they lack in when they come to school, and also socialize the children. So I make sure that the children around me, not just my daughter, but even her friends and the children that I support, because I support a lot of high school girls as well that come and stay in my house, and I make sure that I expose them to different environments. So when I go to work or when I'm doing something, a project, I carry them along so that they're able to socialize. In my house, there's no girl or boy, so housework is done as is. So those are some of the ways, and also just ensuring that they have something to latch onto. So for me, it's spirituality. It's going to church. It's ensuring that at the end of the day they have something that they can hold on to, because this is the age where they're very, as students, they are very impressionable. So whatever they see on the media or their friends doing. So it's important for me as a parent to ensure that my children have something that they can run back to, a value system that they can say this is wrong and this is right.
Thanks for sharing. And on that note, let's take a short break. After we come back, we'll talk more about school life and balancing the academic demands. That's why we're here. And finding out how the students cope and excel in this academic environment. We'll be right back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. We're still talking about surviving high school. We're still on school life, and I want to find out from the students how they manage the academic expectations. Yesterday, we had a session with the girls, and many of them were saying how they have a lot of pressure from parents, from teachers to excel. And what kind of toll does that take on you when you have that kind of hovering over your head? I must perform because my parents expect this, my teachers expect me to do this. So let me begin with you.
For me, managing academic life with school life, it's all about planning your work. Know the main reason why you came to school. When you're in class, forget about your friends, forget about everything. Focus on that main thing that brought you to school, that being education. When you're out there, out of class, that's the time that you should interact with your friends, do those other activities that are co-curriculum other than education. Yeah.
All right, you should be a motivational speaker. When in class, focus on the books and what you're being taught. Thank you so much, ladies. Janet, let me bring you in on this because this is also a concern for students. Parents and teachers, they need to have good marks and performance needs to be high. How do we strike a balance between not putting too much pressure on the students but ensuring that they do perform still?
Thank you very much. And I think the pressure is not necessarily coming from the teachers to perform, but this is pressure from society. And society, because for you to do medicine, you've got to have an A. For you to do a good course, you know, those are the benchmarks that we have set. And in this country, we never have a discussion as to whether anyone is ready to go for boarding or they are not. We do not have schools that are day schools that are good, at least they're not sufficient, and the ones that we have are probably the high-end, private day schools. So I think there is a disconnect there because families really do not have a choice, and even the learners themselves don't have a choice. And we can only probably appreciate the efforts that the teachers, and schools like these ones are making to ensure that when the learners come in, however not prepared they are, you can see they are putting in place programs to just ensure that, they're ready to cope. But I think there is serious indictment, on the part of parents, because there is just no way a child can hit class 8 and they just don't even know how to make their bed, they can't even make an egg and so on. So I think really as parents, we need to be a little bit more serious because we are doing serious disservice to these young people. Parents have a lot of contribution to do in making sure that these girls are settled when they come here, and by settling means that they are ready for some of the responsibilities here, like the duties and an individual or an independent life.
Okay, and you raised a really good point, Janet, in terms of the kids oftentimes don't ask for this. You know, a lot of them don't want to be in boarding school. But it is a reality, a lot of times it's what the parents can afford. Listen, you have to go to school, so these are your options. And I'll come to you, Dr. Eda, in terms of how kids can manage that emotional pressure and also having to cope with being in a place you don't want to be in. Let me start with you, Dr. Eda, in terms of how do they deal with these pressures?
Like the student before said, I think that once you have a fixed goal in life as to what you want to achieve, and you focus on that, you will definitely make sure that everything you do will be towards that, and you will overcome any obstacle towards that. Peer pressure resistance is a life skill. So you will find the many dissenting voices. But like I say, just always focus on what you want to achieve in life. And basically you will work your way around all the obstacles that you meet. Nothing will ever deter you. So you need to have a personal vision and mission in life. So once you have a personal vision and mission, you'll have a very strong sense of who you are. And you'll have self-awareness, which is very important.
A great point indeed to have that sense of self-awareness, to know who you are. Extremely difficult though for the adolescent because they're still trying to figure out who they are. And it's funny, when you were talking, Janet, and you mentioned the whole thing of boarding school, there was a quiet agreement among the girls saying, yes. You know, because a lot of them don't want to be here. And I really want to kind of get that honesty from you guys. It's okay, I know the parents and the principals and the cameras are here, but we need to understand where you're coming from. Zainab, let me engage you first.
I remember my first days in high school, where in Form 1, specifically 1L, our class, people were very homesick. I remember I slept that day and I thought, oh my God, I'm not even in my bed, my mother's not around. And then we used to cry. You know, when the lights goes off and everyone's like, you can hear in the class, everybody's, and then the lights come back, everyone's like, so every day in our life. So you can't even concentrate on studies because everyone is busy with everything. Others make friends faster, and maybe you're not that person who makes friends fast. And then it becomes hard for you even to concentrate on your studies. You think of your mother and your father, and then you tell your mother, Mom, I can't even survive in high school. She told me you survive because you're not the first one who went to high school or boarding school, because the others who were also there. And you're like, I can't. Tell me I can't. I just want to come to a day school in high school. She told me, no, boarding school is the best place to be. So you try to make them understand. Why don't you ask me what's going on with me? How even I cope or I survive? Sometimes you bring the certificate and tell me, I've improved. I've been given this in my school, that you're an improved student. As in, ask me, what have you done? What are your challenges? Or how hard is it for you actually to get to even to be an improved student? I bring an A in some certain subject. But they're like, no, what about maths? You haven't performed in maths? What about English? You know? And I'm like, why don't you recognize this little that I've brought home and give me an encouragement that next time I go to school, I'll do it exemplarily, you know? So it's hard.
I think people are different. People take different situations differently. So when I came to State House Girls, first the teachers, I was used to very hyper teachers, funny ones, and then here everyone is all serious. So it was first tough for me. I only used to like one teacher. That was my biology teacher because he used to make me laugh. And then, so everyone is from a different background. So here I meet people, others have attitude, and you can't just start judging them on day one. So you totally even don't understand yourself anymore. You don't know where you fit in.
Principal Joanne, I want to kind of bring you in on this because we've heard from the girls, you're dealing with this underlying problem of students who don't necessarily want to be here. And so that really is kind of the base of a lot of the frustrations that we see. But how do you deal with that sentiment from a lot of the students? They may not vocalize, but it's there.
Once I'm given a child and I have no choice but to make the child comfortable and be in school. So I cannot say you are not comfortable for boarding, go home. I have to try my best with the teachers as a team, with the support staff in the school, to make sure that any child that looks like she's not comfortable is assisted. Some come out to the office and say, I want to go home. So you have to talk to them, encourage them, talk to them, make them comfortable, pick one teacher to work with the child, until they finally relax. I remember one child from Sudan who, after admission, the following day in the morning, she came and she told me, I want my mom. So I asked her, where is your mom? And where did she leave you yesterday? Where do we get your mom? She said, I want my mom. I said, for now, I'm going to be your mom. So let's settle down. What is the problem? She told me she cannot find her blouse. In fact, she came without the blouse. She was wearing the cardigan. So I sent for the matron, can you walk her through, let her get her blouse and come back to class, settle down. Another one says, I cannot stay here because I have never been in such a place where there are so many students. I am afraid. When they run from tea break, she feels so much afraid, she runs to the office. Because she says, I'm so scared of the crowd, I want to go home. So I have no choice but to settle them. So as a school, we try our best, or we should do more to make this new home more comfortable for them. So it's good for the child to come knowing that I have to do 1, 2, 3 to get my grade, because finally that's what I will be expected to get. Right. So there is no need to come and feel miserable in school. It's good to quickly adjust, do the lessons, do the play, do the holiday thing, but remember, you are expected to perform. Right. Because finally it is that grade that will judge you.
So trying to be as accommodating as you can from the school administration side. Granted, it's not easy. It is not an easy task. And on that note, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about how the students express a lot of the frustrations. Do they have that outlet? Which also brings us to the next conversation of the school fires. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. We're still talking about surviving high school. Now let's talk about how the students express their frustrations here in school. I'd like to hear from Anne and Vivian. Do you have the outlets, people to talk to if you have any issues, frustrations? Do you feel free enough to share with these individuals what it is you're going through?
The school has introduced mentors. So each student is given a mentor. So when you have any problem, you can go and confront your mentor and you'll be helped. Also, we have guidance and counseling teachers. They really help us a lot. When we have any problems, we go to them and they help us. And lastly, also we have religious platforms. We are different here, so there are others who are in SDAs, the others who are Catholics. And also on Sundays, we're given a chance. Some people from outside come, they can talk to us, and also we can pray from God, and He will surely help us.
When I came here in Form 1, I came with a lot of positivity in school that I'll make it. It is a fun place, you'll make a lot of friends, you'll have freedom which you don't have at home. Yes, and as personally I have my best friend, Ivy Olembo, who always talk to me. We talk to each other about the problems we are facing. And my parents, my mom specifically, always tells me, learn to find your own happiness in school. You don't have to stress out of small issues every time. You can turn a blind eye to it. It's not a must to major on it. You're not supposed to stress yourself. Just find your own happiness in school and everything will fall in place.
When we're talking to some of the girls, some said, at times if I do something wrong, and it's found out, and it could be just that one thing, I'm almost a marked girl, if you will, for the 4 years that I'm in school. And so a lot of times they'll label you as the rebellious or the bad student. I wonder who else has that kind of experience, if not you personally, but someone that you do know.
I'm a teenage girl of 17 years. I have insecurities about my looks. I have insecurities about my grades. My parents expect things from me, society expects things from me, teachers expect things from me. As I am a leader, I'm expected to act in a certain way. So yes, I am very frustrated. What I do to deal with my frustration is I channel it to other things. I will channel it at times to my books, to clubs. The school provides very many, St. John, choir, drama. You just manage to go, be yourself. We have mentors, yes, and we have very many teachers who are approachable. You can talk to them about your problems, and at the end of the day, you can still have your class. My parents trust me. That's another thing that they've seen. The person they send to boarding is not the same person they come back. So they trust you, and you have teachers around you all the time mentoring you all the way. Yes, there'll be brush-offs with them here and there. They will make you angry at times, but we have the prefect body who articulate the students' problems. We have meetings with our administration. We stress on the points that are affecting us as students. They listen, and we always find a way to meet each other halfway.
I want to hear from the teachers now. In terms of the disciplinary issues that you are seeing coming up in the student body.
Disciplinary issues are now very dynamic. It's not the way it used to be, because now problems are emanating from home. Because you find either students are coming from single parent homes, where managing these students have become a very big issue.
All right. I'd like to bring in Dr. Eda in on this one, because when it comes to disciplinary issues, I heard the teachers say that dynamics of single-parent homes, behavioral issues coming from kids who come from those kinds of homes. How then can we address it?
One of the biggest problems we're having in Kenya is that over 41% of the homes are headed by women, but that doesn't necessarily make it a dysfunctional home. You have two-parent homes which are dysfunctional. What makes a single-parent home functional is when the child gets the emotional needs met, physical and emotional needs met. So what it boils down to is trust, the basic communication between parent and child. If that is there, of course, both parents bring different things to the table. Every child actually has a right to parents of the opposite gender. The fathers have roles that mothers can never do, and the mothers have roles that fathers can never do. But I've also seen single mothers doing very well, trying to find a male authority figure in the extended family to be role models to the girls. That's what's so beautiful about our African culture, the extended family system.
Okay, I'd like to find out more. There were more students who wanted to talk about, just to get a more real sense of why these school fires are happening. We really want to understand. I'm in the media, we report about these things day in, day out, and we have so many questions and we do answers. People from the outside asking us, oh, what's happening? And we have no idea.
I would say what actually causes this fire is ego. Because, like, let's say you have your friends in other schools which you live the same place. Like, let's say the school has been burnt down and you're in school and you know that they are at home. You kind of actually feel bad because they're having fun and you're enclosed in school, and you just feel so bad about them having fun out there. So, like, when most of them burn the schools and they're out there, it's like they feel proud of being out there while their other friends are in school. So I would say ego is what would cause mostly students to burn their schools.
Okay, before I get your take, I saw Janet nodding her head saying yes. If you want to respond to that briefly.
Yeah, and that explains why when one school burns, a series of them burn. And it's good for us to, as society, and I'm happy. I'm seeing some girls in green, so I can imagine it's the school governance, the students' governance system, because it's very important now for these dialogue processes to be opened. What is this that you are thinking about? Let it be known, and let nobody feel afraid of knowing, because I think that's our generation. Our parents were afraid of knowing what we are thinking. But you see, when you're afraid of knowing, then that intervention will not come, and therefore that is why we are having so many problems. And I like what one of the girls was sharing. I think she was Zena, the one that shared right early. And interestingly, she was bringing in a discussion between her and the parents, and actually that is what most of the parents do. You interact with your child based on a Q&A, on results only. And the parent doesn't have time to understand why you performed poorly, or even why you performed well. Just getting involved in terms of who is your friend in school, what kind of family do they come from, what values do they appreciate, and how is your dorm, how is your bed, parents actually don't interact based on that. And we were criticizing even when, for example, they come for visiting. You will find parents coming, they're keen on sharing niceties, they have a lot of time to cook sausage in school and so on, but they have got no time to know and appreciate how is your mattress, you know, is your bed shaking? Those are the challenges, I'm telling you.
Let's get to your take on what we're seeing with the school fires.
I think the problem with us as teenagers is we don't get a platform to air our problems. For example, back at home, you get home and your parents are really busy with their work. You don't have that time to sit down and bond. And how is school, you know? And what was the problem? Did you have any problems? You know, and it's really hard for like us. We come to school, we find challenges, we go back home, and sometimes in school you like feel scared to go and out your issues. And you're like, when I get home, mom is the first person I'm going to talk to. You get home, mom is not there, she traveled, she's away, and you're like, no, what am I going to do? You come back to school and you tell your friend, I have this problem here and there, and they're like, you know, let's do this. You tell someone else and like, let's do this. And you get really different opinions. At some point you get confused, and I think that's when the pressure just hits you and you're like, I have to do something. When we don't have that platform, you tend to do something that just triggers the attention of someone. I think we need that space just to grow and understand ourselves, because it's a really confusing time. Parents want you to do this, teachers, the society, yourself, and yeah.
Julie, before we wrap up this session, I want to get your take on this just to get the psychological perspective.
I mean, what I'm seeing here and what I'm hearing the girls say is that they're in a transition stage. They arrive here when they're young, they're leaving as young adult women. So physically they've changed, and they're not within the same bodies as they were when they came at Form 1. And emotionally they're in a different place, psychologically. So how do we bring that all together so that the parents are able to still engage, and not just engage on books, not just engage on their living environment, but actually connect with them? Because when I hear about what's happening in the toilets or the dormitories, it's a need to connect with someone in a physical way, not necessarily from a sexual perspective, but just to connect with someone, to have that closeness, which was there in primary school when you were at home with your family, with your siblings. Now you've sort of inherited all these other siblings, hundreds of them, which you don't necessarily know and aren't connected with, but you're lacking something. So it's for parents to really step up and up their game and remain connected to their girls, because this is the time when they will build the coping mechanisms that they will need as adults. This is 4 years of your life. What's going to happen when you're in university, when you're in employment, when you have your own families? How do we build on that now so that we maintain those relationships as adult women?
Great place to leave it, and we'll end this first part of the conversation. The second part of the show, and I'm hearing a lot in terms of the girls saying, we want to be heard and understood. I want to be told what's going on with me. You're adulting and you need to grow up. You need to step up and own this time, but you can't do that if you don't know why you're here and who you are. This week on Victoria's Lounge Story Series, brought to you by Nivea, we feature Catherine Mahugu, social entrepreneur and founder of Soko.
Catherine Mahugu is an entrepreneur. I am a youth empowerment champion, as well as an advocate for gender equality and women empowerment in ICT. I have been raised in a family of 6. My parents were very encouraging in terms of me pursuing any degree I wanted, pursuing my passions and my dreams. So that was very instrumental in my upbringing and just to where I am today. When I joined university, every semester break, I would now use it to work in different areas. So I already did the banking industry. I wanted to work with government. I wanted to work in the private sector. So by the time I was done with my 4th year, I'd already tested my feet in like different industries, and I knew that the only industry I had not tackled was entrepreneurship. If I was going to succeed, well and good. If I was going to fail, I'd say it's a learning experience. So Soko is an ethical fashion brand, and it was started in 2012. So what we do is we work with artisans in informal communities, artisans who produce beautiful handcrafted jewelry, but they do not have access to the international market. We've had artisans in areas such as Kibera or Rongai sell their products in huge stores around the world. We have a number of at least 1,000 artisans that we work with. Over the past 5 years, it was very important and critical to build a very robust team, a team that can be the company's ambassador or evangelist. So I think that was very crucial. If I travel to any other country, I'm assured that the company can still run.
Yeah.
So I've learned that failure shouldn't have a negative connotation to it. Failure should be embraced, and it should be a learning moment and experience. A strong woman is a woman who knows her true north. A strong woman is a person who is very confident, believes in herself, and also very decisive. She knows what she wants to get in life, and she will do anything and everything to achieve her goal. Be confident in yourself. A lot of women go through a lot of self-doubt. So just changing that perception, being confident, safeguarding your dream. I usually say life is an unrehearsed play. You only live it once. So it's very important to live it well.
Thank you so much to the students who shared. Parents, the teachers, the mentors and panelists will keep you on for the second part of the show. And even as we talk about how the social aspect heavily impacts the academic as well. Thanks for watching Victoria's Lounge. Let's do this again next week. Have a wonderful evening. Let's get that conversation started. Sorry.
Okay, I think I love detective movies.
In terms of your experience transitioning from they prepare their children.
Group who are their friends are equally confused. What?
Yes, wanajua.
They know.
That is very interesting.